Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We're having a look at another devblog for the next battle pass, and this is the HE177 A3 R3 Grief. This is very similar to the HE177 we already have in the game, apart from it has access to the HS-293 guided bomb. This is a rocket-assisted guided bomb, and it's pretty cool. It's very similar to the one that you'll find on that Japanese event bomber. Apart from this one is on a much better platform, and it looks like you can bring more than one on the vehicle. The HE177 will be a premium, and also it will be for Germany at rank 4, so it'll be good for grinding, and also should have all of the other secondary armaments that make the Grief so fun. The other part of it as well is they have named this battle pass. Guided Fury is what it is, so it looks like this HE177 is going to be the main prize of the overall battle pass. Let's have a look at the history of this vehicle and also the weapon system. Development of the HE177 bomber began in Germany in 1936, with engineers tasked with creating a high-speed aircraft capable of carrying up to 1,000 kilos of bombs. Heinkel engineers presented a test model in late 1937, and by early 1939, a batch of 12 aircraft had been ordered. The creation and testing of the HE177 was fraught with difficulties, some of which were just never overcome. By the end of 1944, development had completed, but by that time the military situation had changed, and the need for the HE177 had significantly decreased. In total, more than 1,000 aircraft of various modifications were produced, some of which took part in battles on the Eastern Front. Despite this, the protracted development process did not allow the HE177 to significantly influence the course of the war. The HE177 A3 R3 modification was the first carrier of the Henschel HS-293 gliding guided bomb. To accommodate this bomb, 3 external racks were installed on the aircraft, with the under-fuselage rack blocking the opening of the front bomb bay. The HE177 A3R3 Grief aircraft were produced in small numbers and were used to train crews in using the HS-293 guided bomb. So this HE177 seems very similar to the A5. The only difference between them is that this version has access to the HS-293. The A3R3 HE177 still gets access to the Fritz X, still gets access to the 48 50 kilo bombs, and also the 4 1800 kilo bombs, plus many others. So it doesn't seem like it loses anything, it just gains the HS-293, which is quite nice. Also seems like you can bring 3 of them, so 1 centrally mounted and 2 on the wings. So this will be incredibly powerful in naval battles, but also incredibly powerful in ground too. They even show a good old video of the Grief doing some magic, and then the missile doesn't even go anywhere near the vehicle and it explodes it. So there you go. Always fun that it'll be able to do that. This thing should have a 500 kilo warhead, so pretty heavy at the end of the day. And also at the same time, the other part of it is that it will obviously overpressure targets, and it is mainly designed to destroy ships, so it has good old many different qualities to it. Now, the way that this glided bomb works is it has a rocket engine attached to it, so when you launch it, it gains speed, which basically means it goes a little bit faster, and then the rocket should eventually cut out, and then you guide in the gliding bomb to the target, basically with keyboard controls, very similar to how you do the Japanese vehicle. This is something that's actually really cool, and something to look forward to, because of the fact that it will be very good at standoff armaments at a BR where most vehicles don't have access to actually dealing with it. So you'll get, if you get really good at aiming these from a distance, you won't really be able to get hit, and that is pretty impressive for the vehicle itself. Also, being a premium, you don't have to grind any of this out. Huge bonus, especially for a bomber, which usually relies on its engine performance and also relies on its bomb bay. So you get that all for free. So if you're not interested in the HS-293, you can just run this as a conventional HE-177, you can spawn at very high altitude in aerialistic, and you can just go base bombing and just kind of do it like that. This vehicle still has all of the guns that make the Grief defensive armament so strong. It has the 20mm, it has a bunch of heavy machine guns on it. It doesn't look like they've dropped any of those, so there's one in the front, one in the back, and then a bunch on the top of it as well. So it'll still be able to defend itself very, very well. Not as useful as a few of the other machines in the game, but it's a lot better than, let's say, any of the British ones, which is really nice, or any of the Japanese ones, which is good too. So the vehicle itself will suffer with having these HS-293s on, though. They are pretty heavy, so the vehicle won't be able to go crazy fast. So if you're facing stuff with like HEVT, they'll probably be able to, you know, hammer you with it. You also do have to guide the missile or the bomb as far as you can towards the target, and then you could technically use it as like a dummy situation, very similar to a bullpup, right? You can use the bullpup in one or two ways. You can use it as kind of like a very much guided rocket, so you fire exactly where you want to, you don't have to screw with it at all. Or you can actually use the keyboard and move it more towards the target. Now, with this HS-293, it'll be exactly the same. You can either use it as kind of like a dumb bomb and then just fire it in, or a dumb rocket or missile, whatever you want to call it, or you could, you know, target properly and do it that way. The only question is, how far of a distance do you want to go away? Now, this is also different than the Fritz X because it has propulsion. One of the problems with the Fritz X, because it is just a guided bomb, it doesn't have access to a rocket motor or anything. You have to go really high in the air to be able to use it on ships or any targets, really. And you have incredibly limited kind of distances that you can cover in the vehicle. And that means that it takes you a long time to get to high altitude. Because even though this thing has the DB610s, it is heavy with the Fritz X's, it has to get up to altitude, and then you can use the bombs. Where with this thing, you can just be in a conventional altitude, you can just be standoff from the battlefield, and you can use these from miles away, and just use kind of your Mark 1 eyeball with it. As somebody who's seen the Japanese bomber used to great effect in Naval Arcade, I can also see something like the HE-177 used incredibly well as well, going after the large ships, which is predominantly what this guided bomb was used for. I'm sure a lot of people will also use it in ground forces, just because of the fact that it's easy to do, and also people will use this machine during events to kind of chill and just bomb bases and bomb targets and go back to base, and then just do that over and over again. So it's another HE-177, it's another Ju-288 scenario where people will just relax with it. I do have a feeling that because this thing can't really be countered, unless it's with planes, there will be a lot of people who will use this thing, and that will cause a few issues in terms of balance at those BRs, especially since if it's around 6.0 to 7.0, Germany already have some pretty potent vehicles in the CAS element, whether it's the Polkistora, the Me-262, A1U1, or others that are around there. They're usually very fast vehicles that are hard to target with AAs, but also very hard to hunt down in aircraft. And if the Grief is used properly, you're going to have to go near their airfield to actually attack it and then, you know, fight it on its terms. That's not going to be the easiest thing to do, especially since in something like ground, it's going to get an air spawn and you're going to be able to see the whole battlefield from there. The only question is, how good are people's eyes? Do they know where the enemies are on the ground? And once they do, this thing is going to be super deadly, which is why you need to have a different setup for when it comes to the spawns, so people stop spawning in exactly the same place, so therefore CAS aircraft know exactly where to shoot every time, and that is a bit rough. They do say this is the main aircraft reward for the event. They don't mention any ground vehicles or anything like that. I know that a lot of people are looking forward to see what the ground vehicle is, if there is a ground vehicle. My guess is it'll probably be the loot box with a bunch of ground vehicles in it. This battle pass will be starting on the 23rd of October, and it's also called Guided Fury, which I think in general is quite a nice name. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.